Thanks so much for being with us on the Allon Exchange. Brad Johansson along with Jay and Brittany Hagee, Allon Planning Partners. Nice to be back with you
Yeah,
guys.
great to be here, Brad.
Good to have you with us. Thanks so much for spending time with us. We talk about it being your greatest asset all the time. We're going to try and use that time very wisely today. And I may start out with something you go, nope, don't need this, because we're going to talk about estate planning. And you go, nah, I don't have an estate. I got a house, I got a car, I don't really have all of that. I don't need to worry about an estate planning. Yes, you do. Mm-hmm. We're going to get into estate planning today. Legacy planning that goes along with it. So if I slash that, estate and legacy planning, is this something everyone needs?
Yeah, it's not just for the ultra wealthy. I think that's a very it's a misunderstood concept. It's you have to have a massive estate or millions and millions, $10 million plus for. No, it is not just for the ultra wealthy. Everyone needs these, and for two reasons. Absolutely, yes, because when you do pass away, when you do reach that point, you want to ensure your assets go to those you choosing for them to go to, right? Not to the government, not to somebody who contests a will and says, hey, they told me I could have this, but to who you choose they go to, charity, organization, kids, whatever. That's one big point. But the other big factor is that most folks don't realize that while you are still living, estate planning impacts that phase as well. Documents like power of attorneys for financial, power of attorneys for healthcare, all of those types of documents where you are choosing who will make decisions on your behalf while you're still living and you may be becoming incapacitated. So those are factors that apply to every one of us. We all need someone named for those types of decision making.
I think it's a great point Brittany's making. It's for everyone. It's not just, man, if I've got X amount of dollars in my bank account, or if I have X amount of properties under my name that I need an estate plan. No, everyone needs an estate plan. It's an essential part to your comprehensive financial plan that we talk about all the time. It's one of the 5 main pillars that you really have to have a full plan. I have a teenage son, and he's recently gotten into baseball cards and football cards and things like this. And I remembered in the attic that I had some old cards somewhere. And so we dug around until we found them, and he's going through all of them, right? And I also, in the attic, found a box full of old keys. And I'm like, what treasures do I have that these keys could unlock that I don't even know about? What locks do I have? And I thought through that when it comes to estate planning. And when we're no longer here, or we're gone, someone's going through our stuff, if we don't have an estate plan or a legacy plan put together, it's like going through and finding these keys. You have a lot of keys, but you have no idea what they open. You have no idea what they're even to or where to even look to see what they're to. If you do not have an estate plan, you're going to leave a mess of keys behind for someone to figure out what doors they unlock. And so we want to help with that.
I can give you an example of that.
Yeah.
If you recall, we had a family come to us a couple months ago, and they came to us because they were in that position right there. They had a family member, it was a brother, who had unexpectedly passed away in a tragic farming accident. And he owned millions of dollars in properties, real estate, all those types of things. And the heirs could not find any legal documents.
Anywhere.
No will, no trust, there was no safe with documents, there was no folder, nothing at all. And so they were left to figure all this out, sort all this out, the tax implications, probate court, all the legalities of what that looked like between family members trying to decipher.
And it was just by his word, he had told his brother, you are my executor, some months before if something ever happens to me, but there were no legal documents. There was nothing. So there's all these keys that we're finding with nowhere to understand what doors we're supposed to be unlocking, right? And so you really want to put a legacy plan together because it is, like Brittany said, we're going to talk about how it's applicable for you while you're living. But when you're gone, it really does care for the heirs well. It's your love letter to your family and your loved ones after you're gone. So you really want to have that as part of your plan.
You always put tools together, so I'm going to add one here, which is the legacyquiz.com. So am I in that situation? As we talked about at the very beginning, this is for everyone. And the understanding is, what questions should I ask to be able to try and find this out? You scan this QR code, you can go to legacyquiz.com. I'll leave this up as we continue to talk on the idea of understanding what I have, what I need to have, and how prepared I am, and how I can get a little bit of help. So you've teased me. I apologize. Did you figure out where those keys go?
The documents were never found. And he said he had taken care of those things. Documents have never been found. And it's a mess to untangle. It's an absolute mess to sort through it all. And the family is still in the throes of that.
They're left to go through probate.
It doesn't happen quick. Yeah, there's not a quick solution there. Another piece of this puzzle, when you think about estate planning, it's also ensuring your beneficiaries are listed properly. And when there's a life change or something happens with a loss of a spouse or something like that occurs in your life, updating your beneficiaries appropriately. We had another family come to us who had just lost their parents. They were in their 60s, but their parents were in their 80s. Parents both passed away within a 30-day period of one another.
Wow.
There were no contingent beneficiaries named. Because of that, their assets, those beneficiary designated assets, went into probate court because there was no beneficiary named aside from the spouse, which had recently passed away, right? So the importance of those very, very simple things, ensuring that you have not just beneficiaries named, but contingent beneficiaries, so that if big 1-2 punches happen like that, you have a plan in place to ensure your heirs still receive those assets.
And we find the majority of the people that come in for us for the first time, probably 75 to 80% of those folks do not have an updated estate plan. If they have one, I did a will back in the 90s, and it's never been updated, right? This is not something that everyone likes to sit around and think about. It's not something that you want to think like, when I'm gone, what happens to my stuff? Or if I'm incapacitated, what happens to me, right? But we have to put protections in place because it's not just your intentions of what you want to leave to your family or beneficiaries. It's what they actually receive. And we're going to talk about that. Is there's financial implications with taxes, with whether they can even get to those, unlock the doors because they're not the beneficiaries properly on those accounts. And so we want to make sure that you have a strategy in place. There again, that's why we put this quiz together, thelegacyquiz.com. It's a great place to start to give you an idea, how prepared am I for an estate plan? How prepared am I if something happens and I'm incapacitated? Or if I pass away and my spouse passes away, do my children really get the benefit of what I've worked so hard to gain? So thelegacyquiz.com is a great place to start.
Well, it's all about protection. This whole legacy conversation is about protection. Protection both while you're living and ensuring people are making decisions for you that you would choose to make those decisions. So protection there, but also protection of what you have chosen, what you have built, right? Your assets, and then protection for your family and ensuring that you're laying out what's going to happen so that it prevents those. It happens. I mean, there's conflict when someone passes away and there's disagreements over, I get that, no, I get that. Tough things happen in those moments. Those are very emotionally charged moments. So if you can help your family not face those things, but have it clear cut and laid out, again, it's about protection, protecting yourself, protecting your assets, protecting your family.
What kind of protection do you have? And have you even thought about this? Because it isn't something that everybody says, yeah, I'm ready to go on that. Let's work on my legacy plan. But the idea is, instead of having the tail wag the dog, you do this long before the time comes to have an understanding of where you are, where you want it to go, and that's going to change because life changes. After you've gone to the quiz, you're probably going to want to make a phone call to say, I'm ready. I'd like to put a plan together. And this is a complimentary written financial plan that is yours and yours alone, because your estate doesn't look like anybody else's. Your legacy won't look like anyone else's. Let's put it individually together for you. Make the call now. Do it before you actually need it. We're going to talk more about your legacy and your estate and what you need to do to make sure you are protected right after this.
Have you prepared your legacy, or are you unknowingly leaving loved ones with a mess to sort through?
Estate planning isn't just for the wealthy. It's for anyone who wants to protect their family, avoid unnecessary taxes, and make sure their wishes are honored.
And that's why we created the Legacy Quiz, a quick, free tool to help you get a clear picture of where you stand and what steps you may be missing.
From wills and trusts to healthcare directives and powers of attorney, it covers the essentials and shows you how prepared you really are. It only takes a few minutes, but the peace of mind it brings could last a lifetime.
Take the quiz today, thelegacyquiz.com, and start building a legacy that truly lasts.
Thanks for your time. Glad you're here. Brad Johansson along with Jane Brittany Hagee, Allon Planning Partners, talking legacy. We always talk foundation. So give me the foundation of what a legacy plan is supposed to look like for me.
Yeah, when it comes to legacy, there's really three main components that we like to kind of filter all this down into. Let's simplify it. What does it actually look like? What's the foundation? What are the pillars of this legacy piece? And the first one is legal. So the actual legal documents. This is the one that we're going to be most familiar with, right? The power of attorneys, the will or the trust, those types of documents, advanced care directives, those types of things that an estate law attorney puts in place to ensure you have the legal ramifications that occur if XYZ scenario happens. Legal is the first piece. The second is financial. This is where you're actually coordinating your assets. You're looking at tax strategy and how to pass your estate onto your heirs. You're looking at charitable giving. And you're also looking at, like we talked about in the last segment, the beneficiaries listed, ensuring that your assets that are beneficiary designated are accurate, kept up to date, and all of that is in order. So legal is the first, financial is the second. And then the third that I think most people don't spend much time thinking or talking about is the relational piece. What are you actually passing on to your family? The values, the passions, the purpose, those things that make your family your family. What are you actually passing on? And are those the values you want to be replicated and duplicated? I think about it we have 2 teenagers in our house right now, and I'm thinking about the things that I'm working to implant in them. Are they going to want to duplicate that in their children, right? So what are we actually passing down relationally? The communication skills, the interactions with them, the support, emotional support we provide for them. What does that actually look like? Are we present with them so that when we're gone one day, it's not just dollars we've left, but there's more than that. They know they were loved, they were cared for, they were supported, and those values that really build the foundation remain stable even when we're gone.
Yeah, and what I've seen is most estate plans that people try to put in place or don't fail or don't fall short because they're wrong. They fall short because they're incomplete, because they do not have all 3 layers that Brittany just talked about. To be a little bit more specific on each one, the legal ones, I talk to people about this all the time. There's a will-based plan and a trust-based plan. Which is right for you? We won't know till we sit down one-on-one, and we get estate planning attorneys involved to say what is right for you and your family, a will-based plan or a trust-based plan. Things we would say that you need, that everyone needs, are these power of attorney documents, whether it's for healthcare or financial. If I can't make these decisions for myself, I need to know that someone capable is making these decisions for me while I'm still living.
And can I speak to that really quickly? While we're on that point, this is important for couples. If you are a couple and you're listening today, just because you are the primary beneficiary on your spouse's IRA does not give you access to their account.
That's a big one.
That you only get access to that account if they pass away. If something were to happen to Jay and he was in a car accident, he was incapacitated, he couldn't make financial decisions, I was taking care of medical bills and trying to pay things, I could not get into his IRA to pull funds out because that account's not mine. Even though I'm listed as the beneficiary, I cannot access those accounts. But if I have that power of attorney for financial, there's no issue. I can go in and make decisions, make choices on his behalf to be able to pull those funds out. So important caveat for couples.
We absolutely have to have those documents. That's why I say everyone has to have them.
Yes.
But is a will-based or a trust-based plan right for you? That's the legal framework. That determines who's in charge and what happens legally. That legal piece determines who's in charge, my power of attorneys, and what happens legally if something happens to me, whether it's while I'm living or deceased, what happens. And it doesn't matter your intentions really. You can say things all day long. What matters is your documentation. And so the court or whoever is appointed to your case is going to see the documents that you have, not the intentions that you spoke.
And the will and trust difference, wills become public, will go to probate, meaning that there can be contesting of what is within that. So understanding
there's a big difference.
Big difference as to whether or not you need something in a trust because I want to avoid this public forum. Not only that, probate doesn't go very quickly.
That's right. It could last for years. We've seen people get tied up. I think the average is a year, but like we've seen people tied up for
18
many
months,
years
19 months.
In probate court because there are people contesting that will. And until that gets settled out, they're going to continue in the process legally. So a will is able to be contested. A trust keeps things private and personal. And a lot of people are just private with what they want to pass on, and they prefer a trust because they want to keep it within their family and private and not make it a public forum to where it can be contested by anybody who sees it. And so legally, whatever documentation you have in place, it's going to determine who's in charge and what happens legally. Now, we want to talk about, because we help a lot with the financial piece. What does the financial piece mean? Having some of these structures in place is going to determine how much actually gets passed on, right? Because it's not just about what you leave, it's about what they receive. I said that many times, is because Uncle Sam always has his hands out. And so how you structure your accounts to be left to heirs is going to determine how much they actually get. Now, we get this question a lot. Should I put my children, while I'm living, on the deed to my house so that they just get the house as soon as I pass away? Here's a big no-no in doing this. 2 reasons. One, I always encourage people not to do that. There again, I'm not giving legal advice. I'll say go talk to your attorney, but my personal opinion is that you should never do that because you're going to have 2 problems. If they legally are deeded on your home, if they get sued, if they get in trouble, they are legally able to come after whoever is suing them, able to come after your asset as well in your home. So it puts you at unnecessary risk. Number 2, there's something called a step up in cost basis at your time of death. So if I want to pass on my home to my children and Brittany and I pass away, it is not in their name right away. They get the home as the date of my death at the value of the date of my death. So if I bought the home for $500,000 and I've kept it for 20 years and it's worth $1 million, there's $500,000 in capital gains. If they're on the deed, they have to pay the capital gains if they sell the house. All $500,000 is taxable. If it passes on to them through a trust, then they do not have to pay that capital gains tax. So they save taxes on $500,000. It's a huge deal that you position your finances correctly so that your heirs get more and so that you don't give Uncle Sam unnecessarily your hard-earned assets and money at your time of death. It's very important.
Here's another example of that. We had a gentleman come in who had right around $7 or $8 million in IRA funds, in their individual retirement account funds. And we were having conversations particularly about the estate planning piece. And he said, well, all of these we're going to pass on to my kids. They're going to get, I mean, that's a significant portion to each of them. I mean, $8 million is what they're going to receive. And so we had to walk him through the tax implications there and walk through, no, we've got to put some strategy in place here with the estate planning piece, with the tax planning piece to ensure that the money actually gets to your kids and doesn't get eaten up by Uncle Sam like we referred to earlier. But that doesn't happen by accident. You've got to plan before that event occurs. When it happens, it happens. There's very little you can do. You don't have, your options are gone. But if you're planning ahead of time, you're able to really adjust and strategize to ensure that whether it's a charitable organization, your children, your heirs actually receive, not just what you leave, but what's received is what's intended.
Have you taken the quiz? I don't know what you're waiting for. The idea is to get an understanding. Knowledge is power. And maybe I need to move forward on this so it's something that I can actually get ahead of. When you scan the quiz, you'll get an idea to say, you know what, this can be complicated. I'd like to simplify it. So use the people who are experts at it. which is Allon Planning Partners, and you'll want to call the number that's on your screen to say, I'd like to put a plan together, and I'd like my legacy plan to be part of this comprehensive written financial plan. So it's all taken care of before the what if happens. Make the call now. Let's put the plan together. We'll wrap this up when we return.
Have you prepared your legacy, or are you unknowingly leaving loved ones with a mess to sort through?
Estate planning isn't just for the wealthy. It's for anyone who wants to protect their family, avoid unnecessary taxes, and make sure their wishes are honored.
And that's why we created the Legacy Quiz, a quick, free tool to help you get a clear picture of where you stand and what steps you may be missing.
From wills and trusts to healthcare directives and powers of attorney, it covers the essentials and shows you how prepared you really are. It only takes a few minutes, but the peace of mind it brings could last a lifetime.
Take the quiz today, thelegacyquiz.com, and start building a legacy that truly lasts.
Glad you're with us. The Allon Exchange. Brad along with Jay and Brittany, and we're talking legacy plan, estate planning. It is figuring out where you want everything to go in the right way. You talked, Jay, about legal and financial. Do you want to touch on relational, because this becomes fairly significant?
Absolutely. And, you know, it is important when you're building a comprehensive estate plan that you touch all three, because legally it's, you know, if you don't have your legal documents in order, it will not legally pass on the way that you want it to. So it determines what happens legally. Financial determines, again, how much actually gets passed on. What your intentions are and what they actually receive can be two different things based on how you're positioned financially. Relationally is really important to us, and it should be, and it usually is important to everyone, because what relational values say is what all this means. It's not just legally you get this and here's how much you get, but what it all means matters. And that's your values, that's your vision, that's your wisdom that you're passing down. Because I've seen it time and time again. There's a reason why lottery winners, most of them are broke within 3 years, is because if they haven't been passed down wisdom with the money, it can all go out the window tomorrow. Because there can be things that will trip you up in your financial plan. And so we want to make sure we're not just passing on the finances, we're not just passing on legally making sure they get the things I want them to get, but the wisdom and the family values and the communication matter, because that's what anchors them to be able to continue that legacy past their generation. And so it's not just your generation, it's theirs and their children, right? It's their children's children. If we continue to pass on the legacy and continue to pass on the wisdom and the vision that we have, that is a plan that lasts. And that's what we like to do.
Yeah, I had a friend who had a father who recently passed away, and she was talking to me about what she was receiving and kind of how to manage all of that. But what she received quite a bit of funds, but what she was missing was his presence in her life. Like, not just after he passed away, but while he was here, he was not present. There wasn't a passing down of values of care, of what priorities should be, and time spent together and showing up for her is his daughter, right? Yeah. So that was a huge missing component, and just her conversation with me around that was just heartbreaking. She had the inheritance, she had the money, but she was missing the impact. And that was a harder pill for her to swallow than if she hadn't received any inheritance, right? So it's both. We got to look at both. What are we passing down as inheritance, and are we doing it in tax efficient ways and in ways that actually can be received by those we love? And then also the impact. What is the actual impact? If money was not an object, if there was nothing physical we were giving, what is the impact we are leaving in the lives of our family?
And we're about to see the biggest transfer of wealth in the history of our world.
Yes.
Right.
It's going to be trillions of dollars over the next few years that are passed down to the next generation. I'm urging you, have a full estate plan that shows legal, financial, and relationally the wisdom that you've gained, so that your family past you doesn't lose the values that you have and doesn't lose the finances that you're giving them. So we want to make sure that we're passing all three down, because we're about to see this huge transfer of wealth, and it really can be meaningless if we don't do it correctly.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking $90 trillion is the number that we're dealing with right now. There's a do-nothing mentality for a lot of us. if I just do nothing, everybody will figure out what I want done with my stuff. And I kind of want to talk about what you guys do out in the community, because you spend a bunch of time on workshops with this legacy planning, and it is ringing true. Am I right? For a lot of people as you're doing this and say, nobody has talked to me about this before. Why is this so important as you meet people face to face?
So the importance of not just all that we've talked about, the legal documents, the financial aspect, the relational aspect, but how that impacts your financial picture, how that actually, the estate planning piece, how that fits into your entire financial situation is much broader than folks realize, which I think is why people are showing up. They want to pass down effectively. A lot of these folks that are showing up to our workshops and events have been the recipient of kind of disastrous inheritances.
How do I handle it?
Right? And things were not in order, and they're like, I don't want my heirs to have to experience this. And so we're walking through that with them and helping them ensure all those things are in place for them. But then also having that fit into the bigger picture of their financial situation. Because remember, this whole estate planning conversation isn't just for when you're gone one day. It is for now and ensuring you are protected now. Because if that piece is missing, it will impact the others. What you pass down to your heirs and taxes will be impacted. The taxes will eat away from that, right? So all of these things are interconnected, and it's a piece of the puzzle that can be overlooked, but we want to really highlight it. We want to really highlight the importance of this in light of the bigger picture, and then also in passing down to your heirs.
Because the do nothing consequence is the most expensive one. If you do nothing, I can guarantee your biggest heir will not be your beneficiaries, it'll be the IRS. I can tell you that probate will take up a lot of your family's time. The do nothing consequences are the heaviest ones to bear, not just for you while you're living, but for your family. So let's do something today. Let's take the legacy quiz. Come to one of our workshops, meet us in person. Let's come to the office and let's talk about your family's legacy. We would love to help you with that.
Put the number on the screen so that you guys can call and put together that comprehensive plan. Thanks for spending time with us. Let's put this whole thing together. Stop doing nothing. Do something for yourself right now. We can't wait to see you in the office. We'll see you back here next time on the Allon Exchange.